In this episode of the Boorman Lawyers Court Reports, we take a look at a low-range drink driving offence at Southport Magistrates Court where we achieved a successful work licence application for our client.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that 24/7 an understatement to my day-to-day. If ain't no way, then I'ma make a way. They say it ain't no way. I ain't never listened, kept them at a distance. This is for the ones who ain't afraid. And this is more than some paper chase. I wonder who else can say the same.
G'day, welcome to Boorman Lawyers. Josh Boorman here. I've just finished up at Southport Magistrates Court on a work licence application which we succeeded on. Basically, my client had a pretty poor history. He previously had 2 drink drives and a disqualified driving offences on his history. However, he was still eligible to apply for a restricted work licence on his latest offence, which was a low-range drink drive. And first step in relation to this application, we had to ensure that he was eligible to apply for the Section 87 restricted work licence. And because he had not lost his licence in the last 5 years, and he was the holder of a Queensland driver's licence, and he did have a very strong need to be able to continue driving in order to continue working, he was eligible. First of all, we had to attend court a number of weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago, to advise the court that we were going to put an application forward for a work licence. This matter was then adjourned till today. That gave us enough time to prepare the paperwork, which is necessary to apply for a work licence. And a lot of the proof in getting a work licence can come down to the paperwork. We needed to get a strong affidavit from his employer to say that if he was unable to drive for the purpose of work, then he would ultimately lose his job. We also needed to put in place a strong affidavit from the applicant, our client himself, indicating a number of things, including what happened on at the time of the offence, what went wrong, also details in relation to his actual work, what he does, when he works, how far he's got to travel. We also had to discuss issues surrounding what would make him a fit and proper person to be granted a restricted work licence. So today was the appearance and the application. Those affidavits and the application were previously filed with the court, served on the police prosecutors. Magistrate spent the time to read through the affidavits and the application and asked me as my client's solicitor what further submissions I needed to make, and I really needed to persuade the magistrate that he would suffer significant financial hardship if he was unable to get a work licence and drive, and also show the court that he was a fit and proper person to be granted a work licence. The affidavit from his employer went a long way to show the court that if he wasn't able to drive, he would lose his job, and that ultimately he would suffer financial hardship if he was unable to work. The other issue that we really had a tough time, but were able to persuade the magistrate on, was that our client was a fit and proper person to be granted a work licence. And to that end, our client went along, he completed a traffic offender program, and this went a long way to show that some of his previous offences on his history could now be put to an end. His offending behaviour could now be put to an end by him going and rehabilitating and re-educating himself on driver safety and his responsibilities as a driver on the road. And the magistrate was persuaded that he was a fit and proper person to be granted a work licence. The work licence was granted. His low-range blood alcohol reading was 0.058. And he was issued a restricted work licence for a period of 2 months. He received a $350 fine. He was convicted, but that was to be expected given his poor traffic record. So it was a relatively simple traffic offenders. It was a relatively simple Section 87 work licence application. But the big thing that we did need to persuade the court on was that he was a fit and proper person to be given a work licence, since he did have such a poor and terrible traffic record. So if you've been charged with a low or mid-range drink driving offence, or even a low-level drug driving offence, feel free to give me a call on 1300 941 900, or go along to our website, which is Boorman Lawyers, BOORMAN lawyers.com.au. There's a heap of information there about all sorts of traffic offences in Queensland. You might be able to read up and make yourself a bit more familiar with the current situation that you're in. And like I said, give me a call if you're unsure about anything, and discuss whether you may or may not be eligible for a work licence. And certainly I can discuss with you how we can best represent you and prepare a case and present it to the court in relation to your matter. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Cheers.